The 1970s were a time of bold ideas, funky designs, and wild experimentation, especially in the automotive world. While muscle cars and luxury cruisers grabbed the headlines, lurking in the shadows were some truly bizarre creations that never made it big. These oddball cars were weird, wonderful, and in some cases, downright wacky. From futuristic flops to safety-obsessed sports cars, we're diving deep into the forgotten corners of 70s car culture. Buckle up, because today we're exploring the weirdest 1970s cars that you never heard of. 1. 1970, Marcos Mantis. 70. If a spaceship mated with a doorstop and had a flair for British eccentricity, the result would be the 1970 Marcos Mantis M70. This car was long, low, and unapologetically weird, with a sharply wedge-shaped body that looked like it belonged on a sci-fi movie set. Underneath the angular skin was a chassis made from, get this, laminated wood. Yes, real wood. Marcos had big dreams for the Mantis. They wanted it to go head-to-head with Ferrari and Aston Martin. But despite its futuristic design and strong performance from a Triumph-sourced V6, the car was just too different. The styling was polarizing, the interior cramped, and buyers simply weren't ready to drop serious money on something that looked like it belonged in a Thunderbirds episode. Only a few were ever made before Marcos pulled the plug. But today, this oddball is a unicorn among collectors. 2. 1973. Reliant Robin. Ah, yes. The infamous three-wheeled wonder, the 1973 Reliant Robin. If you've ever seen one tip over in a British comedy sketch, you're not alone. The Robin earned a reputation as one of the most hilariously unstable vehicles ever made, and yet, it actually had a surprising purpose behind its oddball design. Weighing under 1,000 pounds, the Robin was classified as a motorcycle in the UK. That meant lower taxes, cheaper insurance, and the ability to drive it with a motorcycle license. With its fiberglass body and tiny engine, it was designed for frugal British motorists during the oil crisis. But that one missing wheel in the front? Yeah, that created a serious balance issue. Take a corner too quickly and the Robin could end up on its side like a flipped turtle. Still, its quirky charm and underdog spirit made it a cult favorite, especially among Top Gear fans and eccentric collectors. 3. 1975. Bricklin SV1. Imagine if Canada tried to build its own Corvette, but instead of speed and sex appeal, it focused on safety. That was the Bricklin SV1, a bizarre mix of high hopes and hard lessons. With gull-wing doors, an acrylic-over fiberglass body, and a name that literally stood for Safety Vehicle 1, the SV1 looked like it had landed from another planet. Malcolm Bricklin envisioned it as the world's first safe sports car. The problem? No one buying a sports car really wanted safety as the main selling point. Under the hood, it was powered by either an AMC 360 or a Ford 351, but horsepower was modest, and the car was heavy, especially those 90-pound doors that took forever to open, if they worked at all. Add in assembly by an inexperienced Canadian workforce, rising costs, and constant reliability issues, and you get a production run of only 2,800. Today, it's a collector's curiosity, equal parts ambition and absurdity. 4. 1974 Volkswagen SP2. Now here's a car that looks like it should have been a global sensation, but most people outside Brazil have never even heard of it. Meet the 1974 Volkswagen SP2, a sleek, low-slung sports coupe that proves even VW had a wild side in the 70s. Designed and built exclusively in Brazil, the SP2 was VW's attempt to create a local sports car with head-turning looks, and it absolutely delivered on style. With its long hood, fastback silhouette, and wide stance, the SP2 looked ready to battle Porsches. But under that beautiful skin was a 1.7L flat 4, making just 65 horsepower. Yeah, 0 to 60 wasn't happening anytime soon. Despite the lackluster performance, the SP2 has aged like fine wine. Only about 10,000 were built, and since it never left South America, most car enthusiasts missed it completely. Today, though, collectors and VW fans alike are rediscovering this forgotten gem and giving it the attention it always deserved. 5. 1970. Citroen M35 Prototype. Leave it to Citroen to make weird look like a science experiment. The 1970 Citroen M35 was part car, part lab rat. An ultra-rare prototype built not for mass production, but for real-world testing by hand-picked customers. And what were they testing exactly? A Wankel rotary engine tucked inside a small coupe body that looked like a stretched AMI with a nose job. Only about 267 M35s were ever made, and they weren't sold. They were loaned out to loyal Citroen owners who agreed to be guinea pigs for this experimental tech. The rotary engine was smooth and compact, but plagued with reliability issues, short lifespans, and poor fuel economy. To make things even weirder, each M35 came with a dashboard badge reading, Prototype Citroen M35 number YA. This vehicle is part of an experimental series. Most were recalled and destroyed once the tests ended, but a few survived. Today they're unicorns, rare, strange, and undeniably cool in that eccentric French way. 6. 1971. Stutz Blackhawk. If there was ever a car that screamed excess louder than a disco ball in a gold-plated nightclub, it was the 1971 Stutz Blackhawk. And yes, Elvis Presley owned one. In fact, he bought the very first one ever made. That alone should tell you everything you need to know. This wasn't your average luxury car. It was hand-built, outrageously styled, and priced higher than a Rolls-Royce. We're talking massive chrome grills, exposed side pipes, wire wheels, and interiors drenched in crushed velvet, Italian leather, and actual gold trim. It was a rolling monument to 1970s extravagance. Powered by a Pontiac V8, the performance was decent, but speed was never the point. The Blackhawk was all about making an entrance and leaving jaws on the floor. Only a few hundred were built, but for celebrities and the ultra-rich of the era, it was the ultimate symbol of more is more. 7. 1973 AMC Gremlin X. If you've ever looked at a car and thought, did they just stop designing halfway through? You might have been staring at the 1973 AMC Gremlin. This compact oddity was AMC's answer to the fuel crisis and rising demand for small cars. And how did they do it? By literally chopping the back off an AMC Hornet. Seriously. The result? A stubby, rear-heavy hatchback with one of the weirdest profiles of the decade. It had a super short wheelbase, awkward proportions, and a love-it-or-hate-it vibe. But for some buyers, the Gremlin was perfect, quirky, cheap, and easy to park. Then came the Gremlin X, AMC's attempt to add muscle car flair to their mutant hatch. It featured racing stripes, mag wheels, and even a V8 option. Sure, it wasn't fast enough to scare a Mustang, but it had attitude. Today, the Gremlin X is a lovable freak in the world of 70s car culture, proof that sometimes weird works. 8. 1976. Sebring Vanguard City Car. Before Tesla, before the Prius, there was this, the 1976 Sebring Vanguard City Car. And no, this isn't a joke. In the heart of the fuel crisis, a Florida-based company decided the future was electric and built a car that looked like a doorstop on golf cart wheels. The city car was tiny, plastic-bodied, and incredibly simple. It had no frills, no real performance, and barely any space. Its top speed, a blazing 38 mph, and with a range of about 40 miles, you'd better have lived close to the grocery store. But for all its cartoonish looks and limitations, the city car was shockingly ahead of its time. 9. 1972. Lancia Stratos HF0 concept. If you ever wondered what a spaceship would look like with wheels, The 1972 Lancia Stratos HF0 is your answer. This wild concept car sat just 33 inches off the ground. That's lower than some people's knees, and looked like it could take off at any moment. Designed by the legendary Marcello Gandini at Bertoni, the Stratos Zero wasn't just futuristic, it was alien. With its razor-sharp wedge shape, canopy-style windshield, and hidden front entry door that opened upward with the windshield, it was pure science fiction in physical form. There were no side doors, no back seat, and definitely no trunk. It wasn't road legal, it wasn't practical, and it was never meant for production. 10. 1975, Moes Safara Car. Now, this is where things get truly unhinged. The 1975 Moes Safara Car might just be the weirdest car of the entire decade, maybe even of all time. Designed by eccentric inventor Bruce Moes, the Safara Car looked like an armored ice cream truck crossed with a military prototype, and it was supposedly built for safari tours. Instead of regular doors, it had giant, side-hinged panels that opened like a walk-in freezer. The body was covered in padded vinyl. The tires? Steel-belted run flats, because apparently, flat tires are a big problem in the jungle. The whole thing was massive, ridiculously heavy, and powered by an International Harvester truck engine. The 1970s were wild, and so were its cars. While some vehicles from that decade became legends, others quietly slipped through the cracks of history. But let's be real, just because they didn't dominate the sales charts doesn't mean they didn't leave a mark. Whether it was gull-wing doors that refused to open, wedge-shaped designs from another galaxy, or electric cars that topped out at 38 miles per hour, each one of these oddballs made a statement. So which one blew your mind the most? Was it the Moes Safara Car? The Robin on 3 wheels? Or maybe the sci-fi dream that was the Stratos HF0? And hey, did we miss a weird 70s car you swear deserves the spotlight?